Hello, welcome back. Let's get into our fourth team in the Eastern Conference who just had a big game. And of course, all these stats are taken before this game. And of course, Donovan Mitchell goes off for 71 against the Chicago Bulls. As we get into our fourth team here, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who just had a big comeback win against Chicago Bulls. 24-14 on the season, 7-3 in their last 10. And what a game by Donovan Mitchell, first of all, to get 71 points like that, scoring like that, creating like that. That a double-double on 71 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. Woo! That's crazy. Go check that out if you haven't seen that. But let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are probably one of the better teams in the league, probably one of the more surprising teams in the league. And I think one of the more put together teams. They just need a little additions there, especially at the 3 spot. But in terms of what this team is right now, one of the best defensive teams in the league, have 2 dynamic guards at the backcourt, have a great veteran off the bench, and potentially someone helping along the way coming back soon for them, and that could potentially help their team out a lot, I think, as I get into talking about this team. But let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. A little backstory: 111 points on the game on the season. Of course, that's not including tonight. How much points they score? I think 145 points, but they're 24th in the league offensively. You wouldn't think of that because they have so many dynamic guys, multiple guys in double figures. But their offensive rating is 11 in the league. Defense is first in the league. Defensive rating is first in the league. Of course, with those twin towers there, Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, the guys that are able to be that versatile and be able to protect the rim and guard and do all types of things, gives them a little bit more leeway with their guards, able to step up. Okoro able to step up. Donovan Mitchell able to gamble. Darius Garland able to gamble. But those 2 big guys in the front court, Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, playing huge dividends to this team. And I think that stands out. Donovan Mitchell, who just went off for 71, averaging 28.4 points per game, nearly 5 assists, nearly 4 rebounds. What is to say about him, especially after his year in Utah? His playoff runs in Utah with high scoring and being, I think, the 3rd highest scorer in playoff history. Going into Cleveland, where they really needed a guy who could help them scoring wise, especially Darius Garland next to Darius Garland, who was just out there by himself kind of last season, kind of creating everything. To have a dynamic guard on the level of Donovan Mitchell, who I can argue is probably the best 2 guard in the league next to Devin Booker. Jaylen Brown follows. Just thinking about his scoring output that he just had just now, and his ability and his impact on his team so far has been tremendous. Can't speak enough about Spyda Mitchell, one of the upcoming players in the league, obviously an all-star, putting on a hell of a performance after night for this Cleveland team that desperately needed somebody to help them, and he's paying dividends. I can't say enough about that guy, especially in Utah, how things ended in Utah. Everyone was like, okay, the Knicks baffledly didn't trade for him and stuff like that. I thought they dodged a bullet, but to see this offensive output, they desperately need that too as well. But for Cleveland, good for Cleveland. We move on to Darius Garland, who's 21-8 on the season. Another dynamic guard who's able to create, and especially off the last season, who was playing really well. To see Donovan Mitchell come in and not see him miss a beat on the offensive end for this team and able to produce and continue to produce. That's a dynamic backcourt, one of the better backcourts in the league. And they're playing pretty well together. We move on to Evan Mobley, who's been able to find his offense nearly at 15 points a game, 9 rebounds, and nearly a block and a half a game. Him to able to find his offense between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, to find his offense to coming into the second season. I think people think that he was going to take a bigger leap, but when you got a guy like Donovan Mitchell coming in, he's going to take a lot of shots away from you. That's just honestly, he's going to create a lot of shots for you, but he's going to take a lot of shots away from you as well. So this progression that we're thinking that we're going to see from Evan Mobley on that offensive side of the ball probably isn't going to be there for about another year or so until he gets a little bit more established next to Donovan Mitchell. His defense is stellar. He's able to stand out there and get on the perimeter. I think he's KG 2.0. I've been saying that. To see his production there next to these guys, especially next to his counterpart there on the front court, Jarrett Allen, who's another steady offensive guy who can go get buckets and be able to be on the defensive end. I think he's at 14 points a game. Yep, 14 points a game, 10 rebounds, and nearly a block a game. So to get that type of production from your front court and back court is stellar. They have Kevin Love off the bench, of course. Dylan Wade, Karis LeVert, all these guys coming off the bench. Reportedly, Ricky Rubio is supposed to come back and help their backcourt. That's going to be a huge plus for them in terms of playmaking for the other guys on the team, on the bench unit, the second squad, a guy who can play with the starters and the bench. Going to have that versatility to Cleveland, which makes them one of the scary teams in the league there. And to think about how impactful both of these guys are and how good they are on the backcourt and front court and that balance that's there, Can't speak enough about how Cleveland is, and JD Bickerstaff, who has been around the league, who has been interim coach, had bad head coaching. I think he was in Houston before. Not really getting that job, not really wanting that job. Finally getting a job in Cleveland where he can put his imprint on things and really get things going. To see this team play this way with him as coach is good to see, encouraging to see, and um, can't speak volumes about this. The way this team plays defense and able to just plod and just really just keep things um, at their pace and just able to squeeze everything, get the most out of the defense, of course, their 30th in pace. First in opponent's field goals made, um, limiting player shots and stuff like that, and making shots in their attempts there. For them to control that on both ends, basically slow down teams on their defensive end, and then on the offensive end, able to make shots and able to get timely buckets is kind of what this team wants, especially with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland there, able to create, able to open up their own shots. And you see the explosion that Donovan Mitchell just had just now with 71 points against the Chicago Bulls. I'm not saying he's going to do that on a nightly basis, but these are two guys who can go get 30 plus, kind of like a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, um, Damian Lillard, and Anthony Simons in Portland, guys that can go get buckets, go get shots for you guys. And to have that defense backing them up, that makes it, they're in every game, basically. They're going to be in every game. They're going to be able to hang. I think this is another Jay Crowder spot, landing spot, where they can get a 3-and-D guy that can help them improve that spot, because Okoro hasn't been really panning out there. Wade has been hurt for them, I believe. So for them to get any upgrade at that spot, especially shooting, could really pay dividends for this team going forward. I thought they were going to be a second-round team. The way they're playing, how dynamic their offense is, especially with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, the ability to score with anybody on any given night. The defense is there backing up. They can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not out of the realm of that. To have two guys that can be that big and play that big, having veterans like Ricky Rubio potentially coming back, and Kevin Love, who's a double-double guy coming off the bench, to potentially have Ricky Rubio coming in and Karis LeVert off the bench to score and punch there. So we're just looking for one other piece, and I think Jay Crowder can also be a landing spot for this team as well. But to look at how this team is playing, Cleveland is very encouraging. It hasn't been that lit since LeBron left. And to think about how Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are electrifying that city again, especially a fan base that's going to stick behind them, that's awesome for Cleveland. That's cool for Cleveland. And we'll see what happens in the second quarter. But I think they give themselves a puncher's chance against anybody, and that's anybody because of those two big, versatile bigs up front and their dynamic backcourt with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland.